Hello, typographers. This is Rebecca, and this is your assignment for Type with Emotion Critique. I'll go over the overview and then we'll get into your presentations. So for this project, you were to create a restaurant's menu with a grid system. First, decide on whether on either your own unique theme for the restaurant or if you wanted to pick an existing restaurant with a terribly designed menu. And then you were to upload your process book as a PDF slideshow. I'm just going to skip a few of these things and get down to the required specs. So you needed in your process book 10 potential themes, 10 potential names, 30 potential logos, branding exploration, 5 menu references, grid sketches, works cited, if you use pre-made textures, illustrations, etc., your Adobe file, your photos of work in progress with the thoughts and reflections. So for the assignment requirement checklist, you were to include in the your PDF the intro slide that includes the assignment name, your name, class, and my name. The second slide includes your restaurant name and the names of the fonts you chose to explore. Then a slide that includes scans of your photos of your 10 potential names, and then a slide that includes scans of your photos of your themes and then names, and then a slide that includes your 30 thumbnail sketches of your logos, and then your slide with your brand exploration with at least 10 inspirational photos. Could be like a mood board. A slide that includes your 5 menu references, a slide that includes your grid sketches, a photo scan screenshots of your process evolution of creating your posters, written reflections on parts of your letters that you like, where you ran into difficulties, how you overcame any challenges, why you chose each of the final 2 songs. Oh, sorry, not songs. Why you chose your restaurant and theme. The final menu on individual slides with no slide template elements, just a clean white background, and then slides of works cited. Sorry about the typos in that assignment. I will fix those. So first up is Maria. So good first slide there. Your restaurant name is Cafe des Arbol, and your fonts that you used were Minstrel and Ivy Soft Variable. Your 10 potential themes here were like marine, underwater sea, dumplings, ramen, Sahara theme, treehouse or forest, which you chose. Karaoke, tacos, dining in the dark, French and retro. Great. All right. And then here are your logos. Okay, so when you're doing logo exploration for the future, instead of just writing out the name and focusing on it just as like a nameplate, I recommend thinking more in terms of shape. So all of these are a horizontal logo with just the name, and that's it. Whereas if you have a forest theme, what are some elements that you could include in the logo that you would find in a forest? There's so many, right? Between foliage and animals, so just think about how you can incorporate those kind of things in your logo. And then think about, instead of these are all basically one wide rectangle in terms of shape or gestalt. And, you could explore a circular shape. You could make it more square. You could, there's, so many different shapes that you could try to place these words in, okay? Great, so here's your brand exploration of different photo menus types. Really nice, great. So for inspirational photos, I don't want you to just look at photos of menus. Your theme was forest, so I want you to also bring in forest photos, right? To really help you get into that idea. Notice that this one right here has some illustrative elements. Even this one has a little pizza on it. This one has a nice border, like a frame, as well as this one here. This one has some design elements along the top and a couple illustrations. This one has this beautiful watercolor drawing in the background. This one actually has photos of the food. Okay, so here's your references. You picked your favorite ones and kind of blocked them out in your grid sketches. Okay, so when we make a grid, I guess this is more of a column grid here, but you want to make sure that you give yourself a margin between each column at least. And then a grid is a modular grid is going to have the rows all equal to each other. There's not going to be a step down like this or a step down like this, okay? All right, so as you can see, when you wrote your grid, you used the guides here. I'm just going to zoom in. So you use the guide, you have the guide showing, but then you didn't line your stuff up to the guides themselves. You skipped boxes, it looks like. Okay, that's fine. This over here, though, I don't understand why you didn't extend that row, you know, this column all the way underneath that appetizers header. I guess as long as they're all the same, that's fine. You know, like if this side was wider than this side, that wouldn't be a true grid. Okay. All right. So here's your reflection. You talked about how you chose a Mexican American cafe at the Redwood National State Park. So you're really working on incorporating a color scheme that is forest related. Plus, you really got deep into your concepts for the foods and drinks and coming up with cool names and stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so we went with a 2-column layout, and it looks, I'm gonna get real nitpicky on everybody's feedback about layout just so that I give you the best advice as early on in your career as possible. So I love your font choices. They look really nice. The script font at the top, like a brush font, looks fantastic with the sans serif font that you chose. I love seeing all of the names of the food as well as the prices in a nice bold font there. Looks really good. Easy to read for sure. This is a really nice, clean, and easy to read menu, so that's lovely. It's broken up really beautifully. It works. Okay, that's nice. So now into the weeds I go. All right, so we have the first word of this description capitalized, but then the rest of your descriptions are not capitalized, except for over here you have add grilled cheese, and then almond is capitalized. So choose if they're going to be capitalized or not, and keep it consistent throughout the whole entire menu or both menus, okay? Then I noticed, so right here on this block of text, this text box, we don't need a drop shadow to separate it. You've already separated it by a different color, and that totally works. I do recommend including desserts in that text box. It doesn't need to be outside of it because that really separates it. What you do need to do though is to give yourself a margin around the edge here. So in InDesign, you would go to type and then text box options, I believe. And then in there, you can do the inset size on all 4 edges because that really is just too close to the edge. It feels uncomfortable and cramped. All right. You could also go with an even darker color, and then you could invert that text to be this color behind here to see if it creates more contrast. If not, you don't need to. It's fine. It's creating enough contrast as is, but it's something you can play with, you know, to make the desserts stand out a bit more. Then, let's see. So we have a few orphans right here, bits. So an orphan is a word that's on a line by its own in a paragraph that is less than 7 characters long. So we don't want bits by itself. You could put the word and here, and it would then drop bacon down to the next line to be with bits. I think that's the best bet there. I don't really see and anywhere else though on there. But since you're making the whole menu yourself, you could maybe put the word scratch bacon bits, like made from scratch, or like oak cured bacon bits. You know, you can add more text since you're the copywriter yourself. Okay. This line right here, notice that there's a bigger line space above it than than the ones, the two lines on top of it. That just means that you need to hit return after fresco, and then you can hit delete one time. Oh, actually, I think you have them in separate text boxes, so you don't need to hit delete before entrees. If this was one continually flowing text box, then you would need to hit delete to get rid of the extra line space that you just made by hitting return after fresco. But sometimes you have to do that in InDesign to kind of snap that last line of text back up with the paragraph style that's being applied to it. Okay, let's keep looking here. Really good. Good, this looks great. So when I look at this menu compared to all of your menus on your mood board, it is super clean, but there is room for some of those elements that I think you might have been attracted to when you pulled those menus. So just go back through and look at them, see what things you like. There's room here for a little illustration. Right here, this is pretty tight up here. I do recommend lowering your logo. It's okay if it overlaps the word food a bit. You could even make the word food menu a lighter color, even this color down here, that background color, to kind of balance that color out, okay? There's also the frames that wrapped around the edges of those menus. If you like that, you could add that. So yeah, just check that out, okay? Great. So now here's your drink menu. Really nice. So notice that on this menu, oops, I'm sorry, I went too far. You have your money, your amount of the price, sorry, you have your price nice and bold. You know what, I'm sorry, I just noticed one more thing. This looks like it's smaller, this slow cooked Mexican chili, than the rest of the other titles, and the word chili is not capitalized, okay? So just make sure, oh, and redwood green salad is also a smaller font. So make sure it's the same size font as all those other titles. So over here, definitely bold all of your prices so that it's consistent on both menus. We get a little crushed here. So that drop shadow is creating like this optical illusion that this is closer than this over here. So get rid of that drop shadow. You don't need it. You're better than that at this point. We don't need to rely on drop shadows to separate items from the background. So extend your text box and include Cafe de Arbol signature coffee in there. If it is too much, if you need more room in this column, then you can get rid of Cafe de Arbol and just have signature coffees, okay? And then same thing, whatever margin or inset spacing you apply to the text box on the other menu, apply it here as well so they match up. Bold all of your prices here, and I think I'm trying to see, make sure that these sizes are the same as they are on the other page. That I think it might be. Cappuccino looks super tiny to me. I don't know, I think these titles got a little small on you. Then over here, you don't have a space between any of these. And I think it's because you've got the juice category below. But look you don't have a big margin at the bottom. You only have like 1/4 of an inch. So maybe move the juice over here. And then you can spread out your fresh pressed juice and you'll have some more room for your signature coffee. Oh, I see. Never mind. You would want those to be under juice. So fresh squeezed orange juice would be in the fresh pressed juice. Probably. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Would that be? Maybe. And then just get rid of some of these other things. Sun tea is not juice. That's a tea, right? We don't need this category at all. Just throw some orange juice up here and get rid of that extra juice category. Since you're the copywriter, you have all the power. All right. And then whatever design elements you add to this side, add it to, I'm sorry, whatever design elements you add to the other side, if you do, add them to this side as well. Okay. Let me just look at a few more things. So we have coffee as an orphan here because it's only 6 characters. It needs to be at least 7. Flavor is also an orphan. Strawberry is not an orphan, so that's good. All right. So you can just do a soft line break, which is holding down Shift and then hitting return. And that will, I'm sorry, that's a hard line break, I guess. That will put the word drip next to coffee. That'll fix that one. And same with here, you can do a hard line break and do peach flavor all on the same line there. But over here, you have the word flavoring. So I think if you just add ing to the end there, that's the best. It'll be consistent and then it won't be an orphan anymore. Great. Thank you. Next up is Juniak. So Juniak, I haven't seen any complete slideshow submissions from you this semester. So I really need you to look at the assignment sheet and follow the list at the end and do everything on that list. So this should be a multiple page PDF, not just one PDF. And it needs to include a bunch of stuff that's not included on here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and still critique it to give you feedback on your layout. So you chose your steak paradise menu. It's very pretty. I love all these ornate details. This is a really beautiful color palette. And I like this ghosting back here with all this pretty texture. It's really nice. This gradient is very cool. I love this beautiful slab font. It's so classy and pretty, and it's working really well. So we have room. Let's look at this one first. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to try to zoom in. Let's see if it'll let me. Okay, great. So we have a typewriter style font with this. You even have like a really pretty bevel on there that's really nice. So I think that these are basically two slab fonts together, and that's not the best pairing option. So I would choose a sans serif font to pair with a slab font. So I would continue to use this beautiful slab font for your headers, and then pick a real clean serif font to go as your lists here, okay? And then, so we have, I'm just looking at your different options. Okay, so as far as the grid goes, I have a 2-column grid here. You really need to have a margin because you're having this brown bar down here, this like brown background here, and there needs to be more space separating this second column from that brown bar, okay? Then you have, these are indented over here, your list of things, whereas on this side it's not indented. So I think indenting is good, so just make sure it's consistent on both sides. Then here, this brown space just above here could also use a bit of a margin. It needs some cushion. So you might consider removing one of these main options, and that will solve that problem very easily for you. Sample image, we don't need this text here. I think you're saying that you want to, that we could use a QR code to look up the images of the steaks larger maybe. If you could sort of spell that out instead of just saying sample image, say something in small text that says, scan the QR code to see sample images of your food or something, something like that, to see images of the food, to see images of the plates. I'm trying to think of like a more sophisticated way to say it. Okay, this is pretty cool. I like this little menu here. I mean, not menu, but I like this little option here to see how the steaks are done. We have a new font here, and this is all in that font. So we don't want to introduce another font, but you could still use this font as to replace the typewriter font, and then that will solve that, and you won't have to make any changes here. But this is also a header, so it could be a header 2, because this is going to be header 1. So a header 2 is going to be the same font as what you use for header 1. It's just going to be smaller and potentially a different color, which it is a different color. It's white, right? So I would not have it be white. I think maybe using this color, that's the background image color instead, will cause enough contrast with that super dark brown background that it will work out just fine. And then you can go ahead and leave all this white, or you can change it to that creamy tan color and see if it's still legible. This is so small. That's not okay. It's too hard to read. Steakhouses tend to be kind of dark, and they have older people because older people tend to have the money to buy steaks, right? So we need to know our audience, and they're going to have a hard time reading as an older person. We have a hard time as our eyesight gets worse over the years. Um, Tiny text in low light is just impossible, like really next to impossible to read. So make sure you're not going smaller than 8 points on this menu, 8-point type, okay? And if you need to shrink the size of the meat to fit in more text, then go ahead and do that, or just try to edit your text down a bit, okay? So that's great. So now I'm going to look at the wine list next. So we have a new font here, and then everything is centered here, and where everything over here is left aligned. It's also, center aligned, but then it's not centered in the artboard itself. We have more room on the right side than on the left. It might be centered. Pinot Noir and Merlot might be centered, but it looks like the Shiraz, Sangiovese, I'm probably not saying that right, and the Cabernet Sauvignon is not centered. So just grab all those guys and grab all those. Well, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to use the grid system. This is not laid out in a grid. This is just one centered column down a piece of paper. So whatever size you're using over here for these fonts needs to be applied over here. Header 1, and then your body copy. So those should match. Same with font typeface that you choose, like your sans serif, should be the same. I think the word wine, so this is technically going to be, yeah, that's fine. Wine is going to be the same as this. This second one is going to be the same as this, but you can change the color of it. And then the body copy will be the same as these. I hope you understand what I'm saying. The same styles, same paragraph styles, okay? But I want you to break these down into a column. And then if you need to add images down the right column, that's fine. But I want to see at least 2 columns on this menu because that's what you have on this menu. It'll make it nice and consistent. You could even make this right column have this beautiful dark background that you did here and have realistic photos of glasses of wine next to it. Laying on top of that dark background, okay, on that one column. Then over here you have a third thing, which is pretty cool, a Michelin taste menu. I love this idea a lot, and I think it's awesome that you did that. So we just are having some alignment changes. So once again, whatever font you choose for your body copy, the font size and style, the font itself, let me say that again, the typeface itself and the size you're going to apply here. Also, the amount of indenting is going to be the same here. The whatever you use for your header 1 will be applied to these. If you need to change them to white or this light creamy color, you can change that style to reflect that so that you have that nice contrast, because obviously you can't have the font be the same color as the background. Then I want you to take a look at your line spacing. That needs to match what you have up here, okay? So we're not going to have 3 different styles for all 3 different menus. All that text is going to be the same across all 3, and it's going to be gorgeous, okay? This guy, I don't know why he's over here on the right. It needs to snap over to the left like the rest of these. And then it's okay if it's a description and you want to make it visually different. That's fine. Just put like a star next to it or some sort of symbol. Or you can have it be over here, but then indent it just one more step. But it shouldn't be floating over here on the side by itself. And then there's room to add an image or 2 if you want to. It's not required. I do think that you should have 2 columns though. It's okay if you have negative space down here at the bottom. Don't be afraid of negative space at the bottom of a page. That's fine. We just don't want to trap it other places. Like this looks like it's trapped because this guy is over here to the right. Okay? All right, thanks so much. Next up is Olivia. So Olivia's restaurant is Strawberry Shortcakes Cafe, which I'm very excited about. You chose Tiro Canada, and Minion Variable Concept. These are your potential themes and names. Very fun. Great, I love them. Your potential logos. Let me just look at the next page. Great. Okay, so on these logos, I want you, when you create logos, it's a really good idea to kind of brainstorm some words that come to your mind when you think of the different things that you're designing for, right? So for Brooks Brunch Bar, what are some things that you think of when you think of brunch? I'm going to think of mimosas. I'm going to think of French toast or tater tots. It just depends on where you're going, right? Bagels or, there's lots of options. So just jot down a few of those words and then see how you can incorporate those little things into the logo. If you think of bagels, it could be kind of more in a circular logo, right? Or if you think of mimosas, you could frame it into champagne glasses, or even have some like orange slices or something, to add to that. So same with like Sanrio Cafe. What do you think of when you think of Sanrio? Absolute cuteness that makes your heart want to explode, right? So there's a lot of things like you do have a heart here, which I love. I like these little stars, but there's also like little cats and things, or just cute little Sanrio things. Then rice and beans, that's a little more obvious. But yeah, just, we don't only design logos with letters. We design logos with, a lot of the times, with symbols, and we don't design just straight across for the most part. We want to use shapes in our gestalt of the logo. So think about how you can, try these words. You do pretty great here. Like I like seeing the arc, you're playing with that. You're introducing some horizontal lines here. You've got a flourish here. I like that a lot. You're on the right track. This is really fun. You've got a circle going here. You've played with your kerning. I'm sorry, your tracking here and added some things. You're working with this little dot, which is fantastic. So since you're already doing all those things, I just want to tell you a few more ways to really stretch your brainstorming while you're drawing thumbnails. So here's your menu references. Really great. So fun. These are very fun. So we have lots of illustrations. Really playing with these hand-drawn illustrations is beautiful. Over here, this is an interesting menu. We've got left aligned on one side and right aligned on the other. Whew. Bold choices, AB Crepes. All right, but this is just a two-toned menu. Really nice. And same with this. It's a three-color menu. It's pretty. All right, cool. Some more menu references. Really cute. Fun color palettes for sure. Oh my God, this is my favorite mood board. I am obsessed with strawberries in general, so this is just really speaking to me. I love it. Very cute. Really great. Really great. So much fun. All right, so now you're doing a little bit of problem solving in your layout. So your grid sketch, it's not quite a grid. Like a grid is going to have, it could be technically a column grid, but if it was a modular grid, we would have horizontal lines going all the way across, and then this box would line up with this box, at least on the top. This box would line up exactly with this box. Okay, so here you're just playing with have a very nice day in Illustrator. Oh, no, sorry, well, maybe in Illustrator. Yes, I think so. Then over here, we're talking about your brainstorming and what you chose to focus on in your color palette. Really great. And here's your final menu. I'm just skipping through. Okay. Really cute. So nice and consistent. All right, so we lost our grid, unfortunately. I do see that these are horizontally laid out consistently, so that's good, but we no longer have any columns. So I need you to change that for the final. You can have drinks on one side and starters on the other column. Just would mean making smaller text, which I mean, this is a pretty large menu. So that means that this text is really big that you have on here to fill up the whole menu. So you have room to reduce the size of your font if you need. Um, so I love the strawberries and I love the background. To solve separating the text from the background, you put in a transparent white frame. We call this a screen, and that's okay. I'm just going to look at this one real fast. So I think that white screen could have the higher opacity, so it's even darker white, or so you can see even less through, because it is when the text gets over the red, it's not the most impossible thing to read, but we want to be respectful of people who need more contrast to see. So I do recommend increasing the white of that. Then this is too close to the edge here. You need at least 1/4 of an inch to make it feel more comfortable. It feels very crammed. We're having a bit of some kerning issues here with this R and the Y touching, whereas all the other letters are not touching throughout the rest of your logo. This feels a little strange here, these rules. I think you need either more space between the rules and the word cafe, or you need to extend the rules out to the edge of strawberry and shortcakes to be the same width as them. So now there's no contrast between the title and the description. It looks like your font is a little bit bigger, but this shouldn't be bolded here. I think maybe you chose to make it bold so that it's even more readable, but the description, we only bold things that we want to catch people's attention with. And if we bold everything, we're not catching anybody's attention for anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't bold out those descriptions. This right here, you're not doing this anywhere else in the layout, so it doesn't need to happen here. Just rotate that strawberry a bit more to fix that, or tip it the other direction. Don't indent homemade. And that is good. Great. I think here for milk, you could put milk options as well. And you might want to make milk options an even smaller font or a different color. No, don't make it a different color. That's fine. But I do like that I can see your information hierarchy. We have a header 1 that's all caps and green. We have a header 2 that's all caps and smaller in red. And then we have our body copy that's smaller also. Good. I do think you could mix in a second font for all these headers though. And I don't think it all needs to be that same font. All right, next up is, hold on, I'm sorry, let me go back one more time. Yeah, okay, I'm cool. All right, so for entrees, same thing. We lost our grid. We have entrees, we can have entrees on the left and desserts on the right. And then, geez, so whatever you change on the front, change here too. So like, this is fun. If you want to have more things like this, like more of the text interacting with the strawberries, then do it more. Like do it here with the mango cooler, just have the strawberry overlap the background and just make it look more intentional. Just doing it in one spot isn't enough to make it look intentional, okay? And I'm just checking everything else real fast. It looks good, looks good. You could make the prices separated with some ellipses or another horizontal rule of it. um, just to kind of make the price stand out a little bit more, if that makes sense. Just to separate it a bit from the title. You could even use an M dash if you wanted to. That would work as well, as long as it's consistent throughout the whole thing, okay? Great, very cute, thank you. All right, next up is Kayla. So Kayla chose Breyer and Rhodes, and the fonts are Rafaela, Etna, Cochin, maybe Cochin, I'm not sure. All right, and here's your different themes. Very fun. Looks like you chose a bookshop cafe with cats. Yes, I want to go there. And here's your, oh, fun names. Whimsical Paws. Stop. Fantastical Paws. All right. Then we've got some super fun thumbnails. Yes, I love these. You went crazy on them, and I love it. Really good stuff. I love seeing the little whiskers and the ears and the playfulness of all this. The fonts are really fun. You, it really looks like you wanted to do a super fun B and a super fun R. So I hope I see that in the logo. You played with paws, you played with flowers, you played with cups. Really good. Books. Yeah, I love it. Keep doing this. When you are making your logos, thumbnails, just keep doing this kind of approach because it's very good, very creative, and you're going to get good stuff out of it. Nice work. Awesome mood board. Love it. Love all the cats. I'm cuckoo for cats. Good job. All right, and here's your menu references. These are super fun. I see a lot of like hand-drawn illustration, like line art. Really cute. I see a little bit of color, not much color. Let's keep going. So here's your grid sketches. Okay, you made a note of what a column sketch is and what a column grid is and what a modular grid is. Some hierarchical stuff. Okay, gotcha. And here's your, oh, it says poster evolution, but I know what you mean. Pretty. I like those flowers at the top. Pretty. Pretty ampersand. Nice. I don't see any cats. So here you're just explaining why you chose the flowers, and it definitely is sophisticated looking. So here is your image. It's really pretty. It is very modern. Okay, so here's the two menus together. We do have a grid. So what I would like to see is instead of using the illustrations as kind of a way to fill in negative space, I'd like to see it on both menus, first of all. So if it's the footer of both menus, that's fine, but it needs to be the same height and width on both, like across the board. Then we lose your logo. I would keep the logo on the other menu because there could be separate menus, you know. This color of this logo, I don't see anywhere in these graphics and it clashes. So I would choose the same green or a lighter shade of that green for the letters there, okay? Then you framed your text with a stroke, which is fine. You framed the text box. That's okay. We just need some inset spacing in each of these text boxes. So to do that in InDesign, you go up to Type, and then you choose, I think it's Type. It might be Object. I think it's Object, actually. Text Frame Options. And then in there, you can set your inset spacing. So you have a nice little padding, some margin in each of these text boxes. All right. The other thing you can do in those text box options is you can edit how the corners look. And these are like really harsh rectangles compared to this beautiful organicness of these flowers over here. So consider doing like a chamfer corner on one or three of the edges or a rounded corner on any of the edges. I wouldn't do a rounded corner on all four because it just looks kind of like a rookie move, but it's cool when you mix it. So like if you have opposing corners rounded or chamfered, if you have 2 at the top chamfered around it, but you keep square at the bottom, or you do 3 and keep 1 square, or you do just 1 and keep the other 3 square, if you see what I'm saying. So whatever you do on one text box, do it on all of them. These 2 text boxes need to be the same width, otherwise you're not working in a grid. Unless it's like a little bit more pronounced that this one is wider than this one, but there's no reason this one needs to be wider than this one. So make sure they're the same width, okay? I do like the space between them and that as well. So once you figure out the color for the letters in your logo, I would sprinkle that color down into your headers here, or I would use this beautiful rosy pink color. You could even go with a shade darker than that to spread out through your headers, because it's okay to sprinkle color on there. Don't be afraid, okay? Great. The other thing, I'm not sure why this is so small compared to this box. So you could consider making this lunch side be maybe like if you were to break this down into 3 columns, you could make the lunch spread across 2 columns wide and then make sides 1 column wide so that they're next to each other instead of stacked on top of each other and one made smaller and everything's kind of centered, you know? That's the beauty of grid system, is that we're not centering everything. It gives us an opportunity to have a more interesting composition. You're also using super tiny font, so I recommend increasing the font size of your food titles, but you can keep your descriptions small. So now I'm going to get into the weeds here. So your in your description here is not capitalized. Rich is not capitalized, but over here, oh, I'm sorry. I thought these L's were capitalized, but I'm realizing now that it's like a script font, so it's not. Okay, cool. So it's consistent all the way across. So that's fantastic. That works. Great. Everything's good there. Excellent. Super. Thank you so much. Next up is Denise. Denise's restaurant name is Cafe Zelda, and the fonts that you chose are Hit and Hilia. Great. So here's your brainstorming of your themes and your restaurant names. Here's your 30 logos. Pretty fun. So let me go back to your themes. I'm not sure what you chose. Oh, Legend of Zelda. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So when you're brainstorming thumbnails for logos, I want you to jot down some words that you associate with the title or the thing that you're brainstorm. Oh, hold on, let me say that again. I want you to jot down some words that come to mind, or some objects, some things, some characters, whatever, while you're thinking about the name of the business that you're creating a logo for, right? So when you think of Zelda, what do you think of? And just start writing all those things down. We think of a sword, we think of Zelda, we think of whatever that little guy's name is, and it's not coming to me right now. We think of maybe 8-bit, or at least I do, because that's what Zelda was when I used to play Zelda. And there's just lots of things, right? So you can think of all those things and write them down. So then when you are thumbnailing, you're not only drawing out the words in different ways. Overall, all of these are fairly square gestalt, which is fine. You're playing with font pairing, which is fantastic. But what else could we mix in with these words to give this logo some more personality, to make it more original and fun? We could mix in a sword, we could mix in some 8-bit font, whatever we wanted to do there, little castle or whatever, forest, I don't know, forest elements, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so in the future, when you're thumbnailing, give yourself a few extra seconds to brainstorm some words when you think of the name of the company, what comes to mind, and then incorporate those objects into your logos. Because once you get past the first few, you kind of hit a wall, right? Well, then that's when you start introducing those other elements, And then you can also think of how can I make this not, how can I make these words not just stacked on top of each other or not just a horizontal rectangle. You want to think of playing with different types of shapes, you know, like what would this look like in an arc? What would this look like in a circle? And on and on. Okay. Now here's your mood board and it's fantastic. Very enchanted and lovely. Awesome color palettes everywhere. I love it. Beautiful. Here's your menu references. These are all very super fun. We've got several hand-drawn illustrations. We've got some vector art, which is beautiful. I love this. This is a really fun menu. How they're using these screens to separate the different kind of categories of food. And then you've got this super clean kind of modern country style with this beautiful frame going around it. This is really cute how they incorporated the rolling pin into their logo. We've got a little chicken. Great, fun. I love these silhouettes. We've got the chicken silhouette down here. We've got a cow. We've got another chicken silhouette. Looking good. All right. So here are some of your layouts. I don't quite see a grid. I kind of see a grid. But I mean, I want to see lines drawn that you stick within. You know what I mean? Very cute though. Great. So here you're just talking about it wasn't too tough for you to make this project, which is great. I think that you had a very nostalgic theme, so it like kept you motivated and going strong, and that's great. Whatever works, you know what I mean? And you just had a hard time when you were trying to warp the text. Cute. Very good. I love it. Okay. So yeah, this is really fun. I love all these hand-drawn elements. I love this texture. It's really beautiful that you used for the paper background. Um, it's really neat. Good, good. Okay, so, and did you do all these drawings? They're so pretty. Really nice. So this turned out really great. I love that. You said you kind of traced over the original logo and it just works so well with the hand-drawn elements. This font is also really fantastic that you chose. I like that you're separating the categories with the lines and that you have this frame around it and that you have things overlapping the frame so you're not continuing it all the way. That's nice. I would also maybe cut this one in a bit to keep it so that it's almost creating sort of a cloud or, you know, a big margin around the logo. You have room. I mean, this is too tight up here. It's got to nudge down. So please nudge it down. I don't like it touching the edge of the paper there. It's making me very uncomfortable. All right. And then I think that you should move the word appetizers up because dessert is so, everything else is very close to these horizontal rules on that side. So move these guys up on this side or move these down, you know, whichever you'd like to do. Okay, so I'm going to get nitpicky. All right, we have an orphan here, the word cream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So an orphan is a word that is part of a paragraph, but is on a line by itself that is less than 7 characters long. So cream is only 6 characters. And then up here we have shells, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So technically 7, but I'm not feeling good about it. And then effects, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so effects is safe, officially safe, but shells and cream need to be addressed. So if you could add another word to the description, that would solve it. That would make honey then drop down with shells and vanilla drop down with cream. This is centered for some reason while everything else is left. And so I think that was just an oversight. So make sure you fix that. So all of these have this beautiful black stroke, but then this guy doesn't. It has it on the cupcake. So I think stroke that plate and then it'll look like it's not out of place. I don't think you necessarily, well, yeah, stroke the cream too because everything else is stroked. Yeah. So just fix those. And then, yeah, just pay attention to your spacing. This gets pretty tight here. So if you can I think once you fix that, you might have room to move Wildberry Crepe up. Maybe not. I don't know. But I want to see the same spacing between everything. You should be using paragraph styles. And if you're not, then you're doing too much work. You have room here to nudge this over to the right to do a line break like this in your frame. So that would be a nice thing to make them the same. All right, so I do have to tell you, even though this is gorgeous the way it is, I wanted to see more than one column. And I think that um, it would be a better representation of your skills if you showed us that you can lay things out in 2 columns at least. But because of all the illustrations and all the texture and how beautiful it all is, I'm not going to ask you to lay it out in 2 columns, okay? So yeah, we don't have enough space between these items. You may consider just getting rid of one, and that will probably fix all your problems on that page. Now, whenever I do a texture in the background of more than one page, I will not make it exactly the same. So if you gave this a 180 rotation, that would make it so that it doesn't look fake as much. You could also, and I think a 180 rotation is going to look better than just doing a flip, like a mirrored flip of this background texture and then leave this background texture the same. All right, thank you. Next is Deanna. So Deanna's restaurant name is Save Point Cafe. And I lost, you don't know where your fonts up for the menu went. Here's your potential themes. Really fun. Unicorns. Awesome. Sirens, really great. Potential names. Also very fun. Great. Here are your logo sketches. Cool. Okay. All right. So I'm going to tell you the same thing I've been telling some other people. Whenever you do logo sketches, because you're going to do a lot of them in your life, before you start actually doing the thumbnails, I want you to brainstorm some words that come to mind when you think of the name of the business that you are designing for. So when you think of Save Point, what do you think of? And then just write those words down. I'm not really sure what Save Point is. I haven't heard that term before, so I can't give you any examples, but it does help because after you get down your first few ideas that are like front of mind ideas, sometimes you can kind of hit a wall when you're thumbnailing. So if you have this list of words that you've already kind of generated, then you can start picking from there and adding elements from there to your logos. And then what I do like seeing is you playing with shapes here, playing with different scale of your font. A lot of these are straight across horizontal rectangles, and as far as Gestalt goes. So I'd rather see you do more things where you're, really playing with shapes and just making things more unique and fun. Okay, so a lot of them you did get really, really creative with, but for the most part, a majority of them are horizontal rectangles. Okay, so here's your inspiration for your brand. Really nice. Pretty. Great. And then here's your menu references. Really fun colors. Lots of hand-drawn style fonts and some hand-drawn illustrations are really great. Really, I love the colors. I love them. I hope to see some color in your menu. This food menu one has some vector art, but these colors aren't as fun. I guess the Il Buco Pranzo is more fun with the orange through it, but great. That Il Buco Pranzo and the food menu on the left are good grid structures. Wonderlust, not great. These are good grid structures too, for the most part. The big ones is, just 2 columns, but at least they're columns, right? So here's your grid layout sketches. Good. Okay. And here's your menu in the process. Good. Okay. All right, and then here's some of the challenges that you ran into. And you're just telling us that you like simple design overall. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with these screenshots. Like, we don't need to have a screenshot with a gray background showing your bleed lines. You should be exporting that as a PNG and then placing the PNG into your slideshow. So and I also am seeing all your margins, all your lines. Okay, so these are your final menus, and they're just black text on a white background. Your logo is at the top. Okay. All right, so this is no longer in a grid. You drew grid sketches, but then decided to just center align everything in one single column. And the information hierarchy is a bit confusing. So the first header is a bit close to the logo at the top. The logo at the top is so plain and simple and just black on white like the rest of the text that it's not really reading as a logo. So you need to have something that makes it appear more as a logo, whether it's a different color, whether it's some sort of, graphic element added to it, Appetizers is your header one, and it is the same size, if not smaller, than the title of your first of your food options. So as far as information hierarchy goes, this needs to be the largest header, the largest text on the page besides the logo. The logo needs to be the first thing that grabs our attention. So it needs to grab our attention with either weight, size, and or color. Then appetizers will be next. You can definitely use more colors than just black and white. That will be the next text size. Then nothing is separating the name of the food with its description. So these two things need to be two different sizes. This needs to be larger than this. And then your price is at the bottom, which is fine. I don't want everything center aligned. You've already learned too much in this class to be center aligning an entire document. I also want to see more than one column. And there's when you look at this and then you look at these, how can you make yours look more like these? I want you to pick out some things that you'd like to incorporate into your designs and then apply them, okay? All right, thanks everybody.